Okay. Thank you for coming here today. We're here to hear about your experiences in Europe. And maybe you could start by telling us about life in Salonika before the Holocaust. I know the Jews of Salonika mostly were Sephardim who came from Spain.
Mm-hmm. They were almost all Sephardics. Salonika was a big Jewish community. There, as far as I know, the least about 80,000. In Salonika at that time there was no more than 300,000 population, so it was almost 25% of the population were Jewish. Life was nice. We have our freedom, we have our synagogues, we have our Gentile friends, my father anyway. We have worked wine business, wine, liquor, all kind except beer. And our life was beautiful. There's nothing wrong with our lives. We hold the freedom all anybody can desire. Always have little problems, here and there, but nothing major problems. Up to when the Germans occupied Salonika. Of course, all Greece. The occupied Salonika, if I remember well enough, was April 9, 1941. They started the problem with the Jews almost right away. Not attacking the whole Jewish population, but start getting slowly, getting young Jewish kids, when I mean kids 18 and up, to put them different labors.
Forced labor?
Forced labor. And slowly they start, Jews not allowed to go in this store, Jews not allowed to go in the other stores. Very popular stores the Jews used to go, like restaurants or nightclubs, or you will see a sign outside, Jews not allowed, And that got, since 41 to 43, there was not a danger. We didn't even know what was going on in Poland. Absolutely nothing. We knew we didn't have good. And Jews suffer a lot in Greece. Suffer because the Gentile people from Salonika, they do have somebody living on farms, or relative, or a cousin, or always somebody that can provide them a little bit of extra food or something. But Jews didn't have anything. That was a big problem for the Jewish people, especially the poor Jewish people. It's wrong when people say all the Jews are rich, they're not. There was a lot of poverty too. These people suffer a lot because since they didn't have no work, they couldn't work. The Germans didn't let them their profession, if there was a professor, if there was whatever he was, he couldn't work. All right, the people who have money, they were spending their money, selling their gold, sell them their clothes, sell them as much as you can have to sell. But the ones that didn't have nothing from the beginning, they were suffering because they didn't have nothing to do with the outside, the farms, the country, because they were city people. They were still miserable. Finally, around the 20, if I remember well enough, I was very young, then 15. Some kind of a war come around, like a gossip, like a war. The Jews, they will go to Poland and Krakow. We didn't even know where Krakow is. We didn't even know where Krakow was. And I went home, and I remember well enough, my mother was putting my younger sister to sleep. And I said, Mom, do you know there's a rumors that we're going to go to Krakow? She got scared, but as a mother, she said, what business we have in Krakow? So that was around, if I don't forget good, it was around, I don't know, it was March or
43.
February, 1943 now.
It was March?
2 years. We didn't have nothing. I mean, we knew we were under Germans. We knew that we're not liked by the Germans. We knew we're not allowed to go here and there. We knew it took us young kids to labors, but not major things, you know.
Did it affect your father's wine business?
Well, the effect, because once these things start, and then was right away the Jews cannot live wherever they are. In other words, our business was under our apartment, you know, the warehouse. This, yeah. So there was a law, Jews cannot live in this area anymore, they have to move out of this area. So we moved, and another brother of my father, you know, my family, that they live in the area Jews are allowed to live. So we were there, you know. But the thing, after we moved there, you know, now the brother of my father, it was the head of the family. They were very wealthy. And he decided one day, it was one Saturday morning, to go and get all the gold and things he had, you know, to get them out of the ground, wherever it was. He took the sign, you know, the yellow star that we have, and with his son, he went there. But unfortunately, because the house used to be in the middle of the beautiful area of Salonika, once they moved out of there, it was occupied by some Greek collaborators with the Germans, you know. And they saw him doing this. And right away, the Gestapo, they called the Gestapo right away. In 5 seconds, the Gestapo was there. So they got him, they put him in a concentration camp in Greece. You know. Finally, because he knew a lot of well-known Greeks, you know, they decide not to take him out of jail, not to take him out of the concentration camp from Greece, just to take him, to put him in the railroad station. There was a ghetto, so he can go with his family in Greece and Poland. So that's what happened in 1943 in April, around April 10. We left Greece.
How were you all gathered together?
Well, like I give an example so you understand, like take Columbus, Ohio, okay? Now, if you live in Worthington, or I live now in Arlington, or some other areas, the laws require that no Jew are allowed to live in Arlington, no Jew allowed to live in Worthington. Jew have to live only, let's say, in Bexley. So you have a relative, you have somebody in Bexley, cousin or friend, or so you take whatever you can take it. You come this way, they concentrate them over there. And the problem with our Greek Jews were, we have an accent, very bad accent, no matter how good Greek we speak. A good original Greek, he know when you speak Greek, you're a Jew. Yeah, because we speak the Spanish language.
Ladino.
Ladino. And Ladino is like an Italian, you know, you sing when you speak. I don't care how many years an Italian will be in this country, he still have Italian accent. So are we. That was one problem. And another problem was that Is any water?
Water?
Another problem, we were the first ones in Greece, you know. Why? Yes, Thessalonica was the biggest city. Now, the part of Greece that was occupied by the Italian army, like Mr. Negri was here before,
Yes.
they didn't have this problem because Italy didn't let the Germans take any Jews. So that's the way we arrived. We entered the ghetto around April 2 or 3. Because we arrived in Auschwitz on the 15th, so they took us about 11 days to be there.
When you moved to the ghetto, how did you then get were you then notified to get to Auschwitz?
We didn't know we go to Auschwitz. We knew that we go to Krakow. As a matter of fact, that they were selling slots too, checks from the banks. They say, you have money, deposit the money here. If you go to Poland, you cash the money. And my family took about 3 or 4 big container of cognac, ouzo, wine. We might start something small there too, you know. See, we were too far from Poland.
Yes.
Maybe the Polish people know what was going on, even they didn't. But we were, my guys, so far away.
Did it ever seem as though, did you ever think, well, we won't go, we'll go to southern Greece, or we won't go? Did that thought ever occur to you?
They always occur this to me and to my father and everybody else. But where you will go? Where? The whole Europe was the ghetto. I mean, it's not money-wise. Okay, money help. You know, every time you're in danger, money always help. There was no underground yet, you know. And like I explained to you, Salonika was a big, huge, for the population of Greece, Jewish community. Now from the small towns, they can take and go to the hills and stay there. Then there was a small, without being respectable to the Communist Party, but the Communist Party did give an order to the villages. Any Jew will come in here, you better give him a refuge and don't call the Germans. Otherwise, you will be punished. And I'm not a communist, don't misunderstand.
I understand.
Me. Yeah.
But they saved lives that way.
Yeah, they save lives. That's like Mr. Negri and a lot of other ones from small towns. You know, the Greek police come right away to them and say, take off, because tomorrow they're coming and get you. Okay, they were small communities. But our community was the bigger one, and it was not easy to move out. It was not easy. Very few try. They capture the hang in the middle of the city, just to show that's what happened. Anybody try to escape, you know, but see, now I see all these things. Now that I grow up and I went trips, you know, like last week I say. I travel all over Greece, going to Italy, going to Turkey, you know. And I say from Greece to Turkey or from Greece to Italy, you can swim. But how we do that, and how you could go then? And how can you trust everybody? You never know who you trust. But I was hiding in one place in the country. Personally, me, a friend of my father took me. He said, come out, I take you to my village. And I stayed there for 3 months.
When was that?
Before the Germans took us. When there was rumors that they were going to take the Jews. This Gentile friend of my father came and said, give me your younger daughter. My sister was very young, 3 years old, 3.5. He said, no, I give you my son. So I went with him. But there were such a strictly laws all of a sudden in the village. Anybody will catch hiding a Jew, we're going to execute the whole family. So this friend of my father said, Mordoh, I'm going to take you to the farms outside of the village. He said, you can, you know how they are big farms, they have a smaller houses, the equipment and things like this. So I said, okay. So he put me there. I stayed 1 night, I stayed 2 nights. And don't forget that I was young. And today, young kids, they are more courageous than we were then. You know, we were more family. Midnight, I will hear the wolves, you know, I will hear the animals, dogs and things. I got scared. After I spend in this place for a week, they will come in the morning, you know, to work on the farm, bring me food, bring me everything. One morning I said, that's it, I can't take it any longer. I didn't even say nothing to them. I just took the bus that was going to Salonika and I left without shoes. And 3 days later, the Germans took us to I mean, if I'm going to stay 2 or 3 more days, I don't know what will happen. What I'm trying to say is, there were a lot of Greeks willing to help. But there's so much they can do too. Yeah. Because if there's a law, they're going to execute the whole family of you. Well, you will think a little bit, after all, why my family should suffer, you know. No?
So did you go to a train station in Salonika?
Well, the ghetto that they have in Saloniki was exactly next to the railroad station. We did that for my neighborhood. They took us walking all the way to the railroad station. About 10,000 Jews from this area.
10,000.
And we were walking in the middle of the city, you know, 3 by 3, 5 by 5, whatever, with what belongings we can carry, and so. Even then, I thought I will escape. Because the only I have to do is just take my yellow star. It was Greek policemen. It would say nothing to me, you know. Now I say I could do it, but then I was afraid to do it. So we arrived in the station, in the railroad station. And we spent one night in the ghetto. Like I say, next to the station was a ghetto. It was an old Jewish neighborhood that they make a concentration. You know, all the Jews surrounded around. And then we spent 8 or 9 or 10 days in the train, arriving to Auschwitz.
You were with your whole family
All
at that?
family. And friends of my father, you know, all the neighborhood.
All together?
You know,
Mother,
people that
father, and your sisters?
2 sisters. One was 4 and one was 9. And my father and my uncle, my mother brother, used to live with us because he was single. So finally we arrived in Auschwitz after Krakow. We didn't know Auschwitz. We arrived in Krakow. Like I'm sure this story has been told before, we arrived there and like they say, start separating youngest and old ones and those and those. So they separated me and I ran away from my line. I went to my father's line 3 times. And 3 times they cut me, 3 times they sent me in the other line. Finally my father said, don't worry about it, we'll meet in a few minutes, you know. In the meantime, I saw my mother in the truck with my 2 sisters. One, she was holding her hand and one holding her other hand. And my father gave me an aluminum container of water. He said, now you round this, now all this is because, and all mixed up there, you know, it's not easy to say. He said, take this bottle of water, drop to your mother in case the kids need water. So I gave it to her, and I went back to my line. And I saw my mother in the truck, she was standing in the side, you know, with open trucks. And I yelled to her to go a little bit farther so they don't fall. And that's the end of when I see them. And once we enter Auschwitz, of course, like everybody else, went to the bathtubs and change clothes, you know, take a shower, shave every piece of hair you have any place in your body. And they give us the prison uniforms, you know. But happened, I used to suffer from my ears, and one of the top doctors in Greece, in Salonika, otorhinolaryngologos, he was, you know, nose and thing. Cuenca was his name. He happened to be there before I was there, prisoner. And since he happened to be my doctor for many years, I went to him the second day. I said, doctor, you know I suffer from my ears. And then I want to go to my mother, you know, my family. He said, forget a family. That's you now. You try to survive.
Your father also was
Oh, yeah.
gone?
They were the older.
Older.
Well, my father then was 52. He was a little older, much older than my mother. He was around 50 then, 50, 52. My mother was 36. You know. And the 2 sisters was 4 and 9. Nobody ever come back again. And I went through hell to make it.
So did the doctor help you?
He could help. The only time he will help me, since he knew me very well, is when I was get beat for some reason, you know. I could go to him and he will excuse me a few days in the hospital just to get well.
Where were you assigned at Auschwitz?
Well, I did any kind of job. I became one of the toughest guys in the camp, as young as I was. I didn't want to go to work. I didn't want to work. When I get up in the morning, I see the weather was freezing outside. I say, I ain't going to work tomorrow. I will hide any place I can not to go to work. I got beat for this. I got spanked a lot of times, you know, with a rubber hose in my behind, many times. But I was tough. I was tough. I was still. I would do anything I can to survive. But I work very hard. I empty cement trucks, steel, you know, bricks. But I never carry one regular job because I never was enough, long enough in one job. Now you might say, did they let you do this? No, they didn't. Or either I was too young, or either I was too stupid, or too courageous. Then I say, I won't go to work today. I will pretend I'm sick, I will pretend this, I will pretend anything. When the weather was too cold, I said to myself, you're not going. And I could care less what will happen.
Did you realize that you were maybe putting your life in danger by
I did.
refusing?
I did put my life in danger.
Did you realize that?
Yes. I was one time, people, the lazy, they call them the lazy people. They don't want to work. They want to clean up one time the camp. Whoever are the bums, let's put it this way. And they put about 70, 75 people in one line there, they were like me, ready to take us for execution. It was around 9 o'clock in the morning. And we knew the life was nothing. It's how you spend the day. I knew they will take us for execution, around 60, 70 lazy. But thank God, for some reason or another, the truck never come and pick us up till 5 o'clock in the evening, and they send us back to our barracks. Sure, I knew I was in danger, sure.
It didn't matter?
It didn't bother me, no. No. I say, I'd rather not to go to work today because it's freezing outside. Whatever happened, happened. What else can happen? What can happen? I mean, people that die every day in front of you, what can happen? Me too, big deal. Who's going to miss me? And I'm not exaggerating.
So saving your own life was not that important to you?
No. Saving not to go to work with a cold, freezing day, that was most important. That was most important to me. Because I see a lot of strong men that come in the camp. You know, they were Orthodox. You go to work, you go to work. You go do this, you do this. I see one time in Hungarian Jew camp, that poor guy was trying to pull, you know, instead of electricity, to pull the some kind of plugs like this of cement, you know. You have to do it with your hand. He was working there to show that he's a good worker. They might like him. I told him, listen, nobody will like you. If you raise 10 plugs a day, or you raise 2, nobody will like you. And nobody going to give you more food or anything. But he just wanted to show, because he was older then. When I mean older, he was around 40. For me, he was older then. But he wanted to show. He didn't last 3 months. He died.
You seem to figure out that working hard would not get you anything.
No.
And what would get you something is saving yourself every chance you got. Protecting yourself, staying out of the cold. You learned that very quickly.
One thing I always said since the day I arrived in prison camp, if they don't kill me, I will not die. That's all. I always, all 2.5 years, 3 years there. I say, if they don't kill me, I will not die. In other words, from starvation or from whatever. I say, no, I won't. If they kill me, then I don't have no choice. Like I said. And thank God I made it to the end. Because I didn't want, they even make a bargain one time to me, to give me a job. I don't mean bargain. The couple, it was a nice Polish Jewish guy, very nice guy. He said, come here, I don't want you to see you around there, you know. They might kill you or something. Let me try to talk somebody, give you a good job. And what the job was, taking nails, you know how when you build cement, you put wood around and then you put the cement. Yeah. take the nails out of the wood. It's nothing. I didn't want to do it. It was this. I worked for a few days. I didn't want to do it. I'd rather be beat. I'd rather put him in the table and give me 25 things in my tukas. I say, I won't do this. And one thing I always say, if they don't kill me, I will not die. I suffer. Nights without food, nights with everything. How many nights I was going to bed and pray God, peace and food. That's only two I want.
Why do you think they didn't kill you if you weren't working?
I don't know. Maybe because I was young. They might thought they have a lot of more years for me to get. You know, I don't know. I will never know this. Maybe that's the only thing I think is because they thought, well, he's only 16, you know, we got a long way to go with him. And because if I was 40, 45, I'm sure it would not let me do what I did. They didn't let me do what I did. Don't misunderstand me. They didn't like me. I was hiding. Whole day long I was hiding. In the camp, though. And I would come out only when they're going to count the prisoners.
Could you lower the cup, please? The cup.
Oh. No, they didn't did it because they liked me. There wasn't a love affair.
No, I know.
Just because I thought I did pretty good for myself by being courageous. I took my own decisions.
Where did you find places to hide?
In the restrooms, under the beds, usually in the restrooms. Because the restrooms, they were not, they didn't have no source, you know. And I was so skinny, I could have put my body inside of the, I'm sorry to say, the holes that I have, you know, and put my body inside and try to hide as much as possible. I've been cut many times. I've been cut. One time I was cut there and they put their fingers like this here, you know, and raised me up right here in my, what do you call this?
Adam's apple?
Adam's apple. But I didn't know why. I didn't have the danger to say, wait a minute, look at what they're doing to me, let me go to work. I don't mean I didn't work, I work. But as much as I could try to get away, I tried to get away.
How long were you in Auschwitz?
2 years.
2 years.
2 years.
Did you develop relationships with other youngsters there your age, other people?
Sure.
Others from Greece or from
many countries. There wasn't only Greece there, you know. Once you are there, you know everybody, you know. Now you meet the Polish people, but usually you go with your own people, you know, from Greek people and things like that.
Well, there was a language problem with others.
Yes, for sure. We didn't know anything German, we didn't know Yiddish, you know. The Jews from Eastern Europe, they know Yiddish, they can understand a little bit the German language. We didn't know absolutely nothing, the Greeks, because we didn't only speak Spanish, you know. And from them we went to 1945, January 1945.
So you survived 2 years in Auschwitz?
In Auschwitz.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It is. That's what I surprised when I went there last week. I went there. Do you know that the trees that surround the crematorium, they're still black. They don't get green, not even in the summer, in the spring. They're still black from the smoke and everything. And that's one reason I went. People will tell me, why you went to Poland? Like I explained to you before, I promised myself 45 years ago, if one day I can come back here to put flowers and whatever is there, I will come. And last week, thank God, I made it. I went through hell. I mean, it was not easy for me to find it, but I find it. I find it. with the broken Polish I know, whatever I know, I find it. I went to Krakow. I took a taxi, and the taxi stayed with me all day long. He took me to Auschwitz, showed me this. I mean, the girl who was interpreter, she didn't have to show me. I could tell her. But she was explaining to other people that were with my group, group that I meet there in Auschwitz, not in there. And I'll be honest, there was one family from Switzerland, when I showed them the block that I was, number 10, they put the number in my arm. I swear, the whole family came and took my arm, they kissed my arm like I'm a hero. I said, listen, I'm not a hero. I'm just a person that survived. The heroes are the one who didn't survive. But they feel it, because here's the block, here's the house that I was. That's one reason I went.
You are a hero, though.
No, I'm not a hero.
You
I'm
survival.
lucky.
But it wasn't just luck.
Whatever, yeah, whatever. Something was. There was something. It was not easy to survive there.
I'm sure.
And the only reason I went back right now is because deep in my mind then, when I was prisoner, when I was 15 years old, I used to say, what will happen if I escape from here? I don't say it was easy, but if I used to say, where are you going to go? There's all German territory around. And it's not the truth.
It's Polish.
5 miles away from the camp, 2 miles away from camp, the Polish people live. And I asked the girl, was a Polish girl, very lovely girl, the interpreter. She knew how to speak English, she explained. I said, I'm sure you were not born then, I said. Did you people smell the burning of the flesh? He said, well, my grandfather said they did smell. But I never knew that there wasn't such a big, I don't think, I believe or not. But anyway, I didn't argue with her, Even if they knew, what the heck can they do anyway? It was not. But there were people around. Yeah, there were people around. They wasn't isolated like I thought then. They will be for miles away, there will be nothing. It was the truth. There were people living around the area, a lot of small villages. They were then, and they're still today.
So part of the way that the Germans were able to do the slaughter that they did was because people did not know the reality of what was around them. You didn't know how close Turkey was. You didn't know how close Italy was. You didn't know how close people were around Auschwitz.
Yeah.
So in that respect...
Well, that was the bigger, how you say, the base where they accomplished to do this, yeah, it was the secrecy that people did not know. So the last second you are in the camp, you don't know. Like I explained, the last 1 second before I split with my family, my father told me, don't worry about it, 5 minutes we'll be get together. 10 minutes, because with the plane, they will go with the buses, I will, with the trucks, I will walk as younger. We did know. And that's one thing always keep me happy. That my family died without knowing. Because if I knew it, that they suffer, I will feel more pain. The least I always keep peace in my mind. The whole procedure took 5-10 minutes, so, it was over. Sure, there was no secret. I mean, there was secret, but once you're there was no
Then
secret
you knew.
anymore. No. That's one thing they accomplished, and I don't know how. How can they have such a big... People in Greece that I was now, they was telling me the things happening all over the world, people killing. The Turks killed 1.5 million Armenians in World War I. That's sad, it's terrible and everything. But what they make the Holocaust was the machinery, the way they transport people to die. That's it. If they will kill each Jew in his own town, country, they might not be so big as the way they made it to concentrate all of it in the Central Europe and Poland. That was the biggest thing, the secret. to the last second.
After you knew what was happening, and you would see people come off the trains, Greek people, would you feel I should tell them, I shouldn't tell them? What would you think?
Tell them for what? What good you do to tell them? Would you make them suffer more? Let them go. There is nothing you can do to save them. And only by telling them is just people see their parents, people see their brother, the sister. They used to live in different neighborhoods, you know. What is good to tell them? It will help nothing. The only you're going to do is more suffering, more panic. Let them go with their mind taking a shower, taking a bath. I mean, they took me to take a shower. They could have killed me too. But they did. After I took a shower, they gave me a prison uniform, you know. But we didn't do it. So that helped a little bit. They were kind enough to keep a secret so people didn't suffer. Sure.
Did others come from your neighborhood who you knew who survived? Just one?
Just one girl.
And she survived?
She survived, yeah. Just one girl. And I have one cousin in California, from the Mordohs, from my whole, 8 brothers of my father, and the sons, the nephews, the grandsons, just me and him. And he's in Los Angeles now.
Was he in Auschwitz also?
Yeah, he was in Auschwitz.
Were you there together? I mean,
we were in the same camp, but we didn't, there was no togetherness. That's who survived, that's it. There was no togetherness. When you're in the position, the life we have there, the son will steal the father piece of bread, or the father will steal the son piece of bread if he have a change. We were not humans. It's hard to understand. We were not humans.
and yet you also seemed not to care if you survived.
In one way you don't care, but you have to fight to survive. Like I explained in the beginning, I said if they kill me, I will die. If they don't kill me, I will live. Mm-hmm. But how I will live? But do anything is possible to live. I mean, if I can see you portion of piece of bread that they give you in the evening, you left in your sight, I will grab it and eat it. I mean, I don't care what is going to happen to me. That's a survivor, I was saying. Sure. And I was one of this type. Few young boys like my age, we were like this. We were the, I mean, if they see us coming around, they will hide anything if they have anything. They did, but if they have anything. Yeah, we were tough. That's the only way.
Were you tough before, or did you get tough there?
I was this, I hate to say to myself, I was the sweetest guy. I mean, young kid with a family, nice family, I never was tough. I can't say I was weak, but I was not tough, no.
How did you get tough so fast?
Situation. Survive. Survive. As a matter of fact, I went to Holland now. I went to Amsterdam. And in my dream was coming one guy from Holland when they brought him in the camp. And I was passing, me and him, I was passing to get a loaf of bread after so many days they didn't give us. He was older than me. And the poor guy, I happened to be in the right hand to get the bread I was supposed to share with him. And as we walked after the line there, the thing was dark, the room was dark. I took him and I pushed him around, and I grabbed the whole thing and I ate the whole thing. And all of a sudden, they come to me, I say, I wonder if this man ever came, whoever this came. I was in Holland last week. I went to see Anne Frank's house and everything. That's the life you have to live. Otherwise, you won't make it.
Bread was everything.
Bread was everything, sure.
And now you're a baker.
Now I'm a baker. I was dreaming every night when I was going to sleep that I owned a pastry shop and I was eating and eating and eating. And there was nothing there. Can we disconnect 1 second? Can we do this? I want to go to the bathroom. Where is the bathroom?
Okay. You were saying you had dreams about owning a pastry shop.
Owning a pastry shop. Every night.
You dreamt that.
Not dream. When you go to bed, you just
Fantasies.
bring in fantasy.
Yes.
That you have so much there. That you eat and you eat and you eat. And the belt, you have to pull the belt as hard as you can so to be so hungry. Hungry was the most terrible thing. And one time, people sometimes here, they say that they find somebody didn't have no water 2-3 days. So I spent 11-12 days without water, without bread or food in 1945, January 1945. Since we left Auschwitz to go to Gleiwitz in another camp. 11 days, they didn't give us nothing. The only we was not eating, the only we was doing is throwing, the trains were open trains, snow, rain, whatever, we were there. Just throwing the sauce that we have, like the canteen, the army have a canteen, throwing out of the train because we cannot raise our head, because if you raise your head, they shoot you right away. And as the train was going, whatever the snow was pulled, but we will eat just like this. So help me God, I drink pee. Somebody else pee, I drink it. He drink it, mine. So it's
Just
terrible.
to get water.
Just to get water. 11 days without a drop of water. The rain, we open our mouth so the rain can go through our mouth. That's the suffering of the truth. And I'm so upset that people, whoever said they didn't exist, how can they say they didn't exist? Take $500. I pay for it if somebody says they don't exist. I sent him there to see it. And I was so happy last week, I was, when they told me that the center of the Auschwitz, you know, we have the commandant Hess, whatever his name was, he was living with his family next to the camp. They hang him right there in the middle of the camp.
Really?
And the hang is there, his picture is there, the Polish government, they put him in trial and they find him guilty, and they hang him in the middle of Auschwitz. That make me happy. Even I'm not a vendetta type of person, but it did make me happy. At least he died there when he killed millions of people.
Well, there's something right about it. I mean, that's how it should be.
Yeah, that make me happy when I saw it, the sign, and when the Polish girl explained. Hayes was hanging right here. It's in the middle of Auschwitz. That was good. At least whatever he did, he paid for it in the same place.
Did you see Mengele at Auschwitz?
Even if my block was number 8, no, wait a minute. Yeah, number 8. As most of the experiment was in number 10, I did not see it, but I read his book. And maybe I saw him, and I didn't know who he was.
They didn't talk about him. He was
No,
called
they
the
didn't.
Angel of Death.
We only knew as a doctor, big doctor, we didn't know names. You know, who was who and who was, no. We knew doctors that they taken for experiment. And, you know, the blocks was like this, the houses. I was a number 8, yeah. And especially on the woman's experiment was number 10. You know, there was experiment of women. But I did not know Dr. Mengele. I might see him, but I didn't know who he was because, like I said, our time was not, we couldn't see these people anyway. They were big shots. We will see them once in a blue moon, you know. Well, the commandant, we will see them in the evening when they was counting the prisoners, you know. But not the doctors and things like this, you know. The doctor will come to check us, who was skinny, who was fat, who was ready to go, who was not ready to go. But who was the doctor? Don't mean nothing, you know. We have our own problem thinking, are skinny enough to go, or are still a little bit more to go, you know. We were touching back and see how it is, you know. Is anything meat left over or whatever? But it's life. It was a I mean, survive from there, that's not easy. It was not easy.
You survive there, you can survive anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the truth. You survive there. High-pitched loaf of bread now in the bakery. You know, in the morning, stale bread. I don't pitch it. I let the employee pitch it. I don't throw them in the garbage. Because it's deep in my mind, a loaf of bread is a loaf of bread. You cannot pitch it. I don't care how stale it is. I will not pitch, I will not throw it in the garbage, anything that is valuable. I mean, you can eat it, you can use it. Because I eat molded bread if I can find it. I eat anything if I can find it.
And probably felt lucky to find it.
I'd like it to find it, yeah. And one time, we did have some, it's funny to say, we have a house of prostitution there too. Only for the very, very privileged people, you know, prisoners.
For the prisoners?
Very, very privileged, you know. Yeah, for the prisoners, but not every prisoner, you know. So I used to sneak outside of their house. There were about 10 girls or something. I used to sneak outside of the house because they used to take food to them. But the girls, they need too much because they were not hungry, you know. They have plenty to. And every evening I was hiding someplace there when they take the containers out so I can grab whatever is in there. And one night I didn't find nothing, you know. I don't know why I didn't find nothing. And here come a girl, I don't know what nationality it was. He said, come here, come here. I went there, and here's the soldier, you know, German soldier, because the soldiers would guard the house, you know, so nobody can go in this house. She came with a big box, like a shoe box. It was a chunk of salami like this, and a loaf of bread. It was Friday night. It was a Friday night dinner for me and my partner. I have a partner. Whatever he will organize, we will split, you know. And we sit this Friday night, I tell you, that was like a good old mother Friday night dinner. But like I say, I was not scared. I was not scaredy cat. I will go there. I will look for it, you know. I will not say, God help me. I figured God not going to help me. I have to help.
You took risks.
Yeah, I took risks. I know too many people will have the risk to go outside in this house, you know, with the guards, to waiting for the girls to give me something to eat. No. I took a risk, yeah.
Who was your partner?
Another Jewish Greek boy. He's in Israel now.
So you shared things.
We share everything. Whatever he will organize, you know, daytime, we will bring him in the evening, we will share it. Whatever I will organize, when I mean organize stealing, I don't mean, yeah, we will share together. He was the same age with me almost. He was 15, 16 then.
Did you know him, or did you meet him
No,
at
I
Auschwitz?
met him there. No, he was one of the wealthiest kids in the city too. His father was very, very wealthy. And he's in Israel now. I saw him, of course, after the war. We were liberated together. But all of a sudden I lost him. He went to help the American army, you know, the kitchen and things, and all of a sudden I don't know how he ended up in Israel and I ended up in Greece after the war, and then we met in Greece. He came to visit Greece, and we met. We were liberated in Bergen-Belsen together.
Now you spent the 11 days in the train. Did you then go to Bergen-Belsen?
Gleiwitz, no. We went to Gleiwitz.
Gleiwitz.
And Gleiwitz, they start splitting the healthy and the not healthy. The only they do is they make you round, naked, you know, round. They see how much you round. And I was skinny then. For some reason or another, I was not in the better shape. I never was in a good shape, but better shape. But I say again, round. I round, you know, and I guess they were satisfied the way I rounded. From there, we went to another camp, was Dora. Dora, we was making torpedoes for the German Navy. You know, the big torpedoes that they make. Now I got scared one time that I'm going to die. In Dora, I was scared. We were coming back from work. And as we come back, we come 5 in the line, you know, like the army got 3 or 4, whatever, 5. And as we stop, as we came, as we came in, all of a sudden they stop my commando. You know, commando means 50 or 70 or 100 prisoners together, group, let's say group. And all of a sudden they brought a young Russian with his hand tied in the back, you know, like this. And he point, you know, like this. And oh my Lord, I thought he pointed to me. And he pointed next to me. And now that's the first time I really got scared. So scared that I did it in my pants. So help me God. And what was the next guy to me? It was another Russian guy. I don't know what they did, something they did when they were. And as a matter of fact, the next day we saw them hang them all of them, 50 together. 50, not 1 or 2 or 3. That was the only time I really got scared because they come just like this, without expecting. When he pointed, I thought he pointed to me. And then I said, thank God he pointed to the next to me. And from there, we spent, about 3 or 4 months in Dora working.
On those torpedoes?
Torpedoes. Well, we were building the torpedoes, and then they will go, I guess the Nazis or Germans will put the dynamite or whatever inside, you know. And from there we went to Bergen-Belsen. And that's the only time in Bergen-Belsen I say, I'm not going to go in as a Jew. I'm going to go in with anything else. Because they have no records no more.
Oh. You knew that?
Well, of course you know. I mean, you don't know 100%, but you know things that are not right. So they say the French here, French Gentiles. The Jews here, me and another guy would sneak with the French ones. I didn't know how to speak French, just monsieur or oui, that don't mean nothing. But the Frenchmen knew that we didn't know, they didn't say nothing. So we passed as a Frenchman till the end of the war. I said, that's it. I'm not going, because we were scared at the end, they're going to separate the Gentiles with the Jews and they're going to kill the Jews. I said, why should I? Like I told you from the beginning. I said, if they're not going to kill me, I'm going to try to survive. So I said, that's the end. We knew was coming the end, you know. And I told this friend of mine, I said, hell, let's pass with the Frenchmen. We went to the French barracks. The Frenchmen know we don't speak French or whatever. They didn't say nothing, you know. I said, don't worry, stay here. So we passed as a Frenchman. So
how long were
the
you
British
there?
came, April 15 again, 1945, and they liberated us. But we couldn't get out of the camp, the list for a month. We were scared to get out. We didn't know what freedom is. That took us a month. They're telling us, you're free, you can go any place, downtown or go. We couldn't go. We were scared to go out. It took us a month. Finally, the British decided to take us out to show us that there's no danger, there's no guards anymore, there's nobody will bother you if you are outside. It was not easy. It was not easy.
Where did you go from there?
From there I went back to Greece,
Back to Salonika?
back to Salonika.
Was there anyone there?
No one, just this cousin, and I met him when I arrived. And that was another sad, coming to your hometown, and there's nobody there. The truck left us, you know, the trucks, they brought us from Athens to Salonika. They left in the middle of the city. Here's Salonika. What do you do now? Nobody's waiting for you. Nobody's, thank God, there was some organizations, you know, that took us right away, you know. They put us someplace to sleep for a few days and things like that.
And what did you do then?
Nothing, eating from the organization that was feeding us.
And then what? I mean, you were what,
Well,
you were 18 years old, 7?
Well, then, see, there was a law, anything belonged to your parents' property or thing, you can take it.
And it was still
And had
there,
it.
it hadn't been taken?
Well, you can't take a building, you can't take a house, you know.
Well, in some places, some would move in and take it over.
Oh, they can take it over to live, but they can't take the property. No, not in Greece. In Greece, they give it to you everything. No, the Greek government was excellent with these laws.
So at the age of 18, you went back there and you had a house.
Yeah, I have a house. I have my house. You know, I went. The people who was living in there, I said, listen, that's my home. And there was a law that you can evict the person who's living in there as long as you prove that that's your house, your property. Yeah, I have a house. But it took 3 or 4, 6 months to have a house. I was sleeping sort of an orphanage that they put together for the newcomers, you know, to sleep there, to eat there, and everything there. I mean, I didn't mean right away, no. Well, it took about 6 months to get in the house. And then I went to the army, the Greek army. Like there, you have to go to the army. There's no volunteer army.
Right.
Greeks not a volunteer army. You age, you go. They was talking that they will excuse the prison, you know, people who come from prison. No. You go like every other Greek. So I went like another Greek in the army, you know. And then I started working with this relative of mine. He was older than me, got married with another girl, and her brother hired me to work for him, you know, start building the life a little bit, you know. And then I met my wife, got married. I've been married 37 years now. And by that time, my daughter was born, you know. My daughter was born in Greece. In 1955, we immigrated here. There was a law, whoever lost people in the war, you know, things like this, they can come in this country. But we didn't find what we have, you know, there when we come back. But thank God the organizations help us. Without the organizations, we couldn't make it because, like I said, they brought us the middle of the city, like here at downtown. They get you out of the trucks and they say, here's your home, here's your city. So where are you going? And most of it was American help anyway, you know.
Did you start being a baker in Greece?
No, I was
No?
baker here
Only
when I
here.
came here. No, I was working in burlap bags with my cousin, brother-in-law. He was merchant there. He took me to work in his place. Burlap, you know what a burlap bag is. So then, 1955, we come here and I started working on Schwartz Bakery. I don't know if you know Schwartz Bakery on Mount Street. No? See, when you don't know language, they put you to work. As a matter of fact, I started working over Lazarus cafeteria.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. We have to stop so they can change the tape. Okay. Okay, we have 2 more minutes on the tape. What made you decide to become a baker?
Because, like I said, when you come in this country, you don't know any language, or either you're going to be a dishwasher, anything that don't require talk.
Talking.
So the Jewish Family Service found me over this baker to work there, and I went to work there. And since then, I became a baker, and then I bought my own bakery, and, you know, and I'm still a baker.
Had you ever baked anything before you came?
No.
Nothing.
No. I never knew how to bake. I never knew. Only I knew how to eat. I never knew how to bake. Absolutely not.
Did you watch your mother bake?
I don't think she ever baked.
She didn't bake?
Well, she might bake things for home, not bread or things like
Not bread. Not challah on
that. Buy
Friday?
it.
Buy it?
She might bake goods for home, you know. pastries or
Baklava?
Baklava or things like this, but not no bread or challah or anything like this. No. She always will buy it. And she would not spend her time making it. She was a good mother, excellent mother. Very, very good mother. For as short as she lived, you know.
What made her a good mother?
Kind, understandable, and love, that's all. That's the best thing a mother can do. Love, patience, that's it. You don't need nothing else. No, there's no wealth or not wealth. Love and understanding. give your kids a love, or your husband to the wife, or whatever, you know. I told them that's the most important thing in life. Everything else comes second. People say health. Sure, health is good. But love, and love, when I'm in love without expecting, you know, without demanding. If you gain something from the person you love, good.
Mm-hmm.
But don't make a precondition. I'm going to love you if you do this to me. That's wrong.
Your mother must have loved you very much.
She did. I was the only son. And then it was a big deal to have only son with two daughters. Yeah.
Because your capacity to love survived Auschwitz.
Yeah. And I still love, yeah.
Okay.
I still love. I love.
Thank you very much.